Hello everyone! Today for the question of the day, we're going to be brainstorming to get some ideas for the physics photo contest. Now, this assignment is not going to be due until Wednesday, May 5th, so when you see it in classroom, note that it has a longer due date than some other items. Okay? So, you may have noticed that in my classroom, I have tons of physics photographs, and some are pretty interesting looking, and some are just kind of weird, and some are, aesthetically pleasing. So here's your assignment. What I would like you to do is first take a nice printable high resolution photo. Not some grainy zoomed out something or other that you just like offhandedly take. Make it a good photo first. Then what I would like you to do is find some physics principle that's illustrated in that photograph. Then write one paragraph explanation. Now, you get a point for just submitting a paragraph, but we want to make sure your paragraph is physically accurate. So this 2 points over here on the rubric. 0 points would be, yeah, you submitted an explanation, but there were no correct statements. 1 point, you submit an explanation and get a second point here because your explanation has some flaws. To get both of these points, it needs to be physically accurate, so it has no incorrect statements. So I will suggest that you be brief in your explanation so that you don't go start, to write 7 sentences that are correct in one incorrect statement, because then you've done more work to get a 1 instead of a 2. And lastly, I want you to title your submission. When we give out this survey to all the classes, which I'll explain in a second, people will see both your title and your photograph. Having a memorable title might make yours stand out, which might mean good things for you because you get 5 points for your photo contest entry submission. However, between all the classes, between Mr. Lubin and Mr. Moss and my classes, we will send out a survey of all the submissions. And the top 13 submissions get made into next year's classroom calendar, right? For 12 months plus the cover. So you want your picture to stand out. What I'm thinking is we'll probably have you guys select by survey your top 10. Then Mr. Moss, Mr. Lubin, and I will each choose our favorite one for 13 total. Now, nationally, there is a physics competition for the best physics photo for high school students, and that's through the American Association for Physics Teachers. So if you want some advice or some other examples, please check out aapt.org. So that's American Association of Physics Teachers.org. And here's one that was one of the top 100 from last year's submissions. This photo shows a balloon, and as it's popped, the water stays at rest because of Newton's first law, but gravity hasn't pulled it to the ground yet. Notice short, simple paragraph that has 1, 2, 3 sentences. You could probably go up to 5 or 6, but keep in mind, I'm going to be printing this on a calendar. If you write me an essay, that means there's less space for your photograph on that page. So keep that in mind. Simple is good. Right, so here's an example of one where the title of the photograph has nothing, does not have to do with physics. You can just title it something cool. The photo itself has to do with physics because this is showing a convex sphere producing an inverted, smaller, real image from the background. You can have a title that matches the phenomenon. This phenomenon of haloing around the sun with these rainbowing effects is called a sundog. Easy peasy. These two also illustrate contrived photographs, meaning you went out of your way to set this photograph up, versus natural photograph, ones where you're just waiting for the correct time and nature will do the rest. Here's a contrived one. This one's the camera Obscura, which we just talked about, where they've set up this sheet right here with a hole in it so you can see the light going through. And it makes it look like this flower is coming out of the vase. The flower's actually over here. So, camera Obscura of a chrysanthemum, this is contrived, versus A geyser unleashed, this would be natural. The explanation for this one would be talking about pressure building up underneath the Earth's surface, and how pressure leads to this effect. You could also go with photographs that are not necessarily about physics, but find something physical about them. So, for instance, this photograph is aesthetically pleasing. It's a beautiful photograph. And so they wrote their essay, or paragraph, about balancing torque and forces. So here is my question of the day then. For my question of the day, I would like you to brainstorm at least 3 ideas for your physics photo contest submission. All right, then get to work, and I will remind you guys before the due date. Best of luck.